Yes.
Presenting Matt Shadetek.
Yes. Matt Shadetek is the name that I do music under. And, you know, I have a website at mattshadetek.com where I write a lot about this kind of stuff that I'm going to be talking about for the next 10 minutes. So basically, Corey asked me to talk about creative process, which is something that I think about a lot. And, you know, the biggest thing that I'd like to start with or say about, you know, creative process and creativity is I feel that it's an often mystified thing in our culture. People want to believe that creativity is this kind of magic fairy dust that comes down from the sky and, so, you know, a moonbeam strikes you and suddenly you're inspired and you produce a great piece of work. And I think that that's a missed opportunity. I think that as people who create, being a little bit more thoughtful and a little bit more conscious and analytical about our creative process can be a great way to get the most out of things like limited time, limited energy, limited resources. You know, one of my favorite quotes from a good friend of mine called Chief Boima is, you know, creativity is what happens when you don't have resources. You know, so people, you know, I teach music at Dubspot, you know, and I interact with a lot of musicians. And one of the things that I very frequently encounter is people who kind of constantly defer creation by saying, oh, you know what, I would really love to be a DJ or be a producer or whatever it is, but I just don't have the time. What you're really saying when you say that is, I would love to do that, but it's just not a priority for me. If you really want to do something, you will find the time, make the time, you know, cut off your cable, stop playing video games, sleep less, whatever it is that you need to do. You know, it's that kind of idea that it's you know, I recently became a father, and one of the things that people say is, oh, I'd also love to have kids, but, you know, I just need to wait for the right time. And let me tell you, there is no right time to have kids, you know, like, you know, kids are powerful forces, you know, and it's just something that you do, and you fit everything around it, and you make things work. And, you know, so it's something that I really want to kind of drill people on, is just the idea that if you want to do something, please, for your own sake, do it, and don't be that person who waited for the stars to align and you win the lottery and you don't have to work anymore. And, you know, I hope that happens for you, but in the meantime, let's do what we're here to do, you know. So, and I'm going to give a kind of a compressed version of a lot of ideas, but so the next thing that kind of brings us to is what I see as the major enemy of creating anything, which is fear. So often we live in fear of being judged. People's reaction, they're all going to laugh at me. You know, people postpone, you know, taking the actions that they want to take because they are afraid that other people will look at them and either ridicule them or say that their work was not everything that it could have been. And there's a number of responses to that, but I like to listen to talking podcasts, and one of them that I was listening to is called The Accidental Creative, and it's a guy, he's actually an advertising person, but he thinks a lot about the kind of issues and disciplines of creativity, kind of the stuff that I'm talking about. And one of his great shows that he did was about the idea that you are not your idea. So let's say I make a song and the song is no good, and I show it to all my friends and they say, God, your song sucks, you know. This can happen, you know. Most of the time they're much more polite and they say, yeah, you know, what else have you been working on, you know. But and that's very, very traumatic, you know. But the thing that I found liberating in this idea was the thought that separating your feelings of personal worth from your creative work. So, you know, so much of the fear that we have in releasing something into the world, let's say, or even creating something at all, comes from this fear of being judged. So you think, what if I make something and it's no good? The fact is, you made that thing, there it is. It doesn't mean you're a bad person because you played a wrong note or you wrote a bad song. No, your life continues, you continue, make something else. It'll probably be better than the last time. You know, one of the things that I like to tell, you know, people when talking about this is the idea of, you know, all of this creative work that we do, or any creative work that you release into the world, it's like a conversation. So we're here at a party and I'm talking to David and I say, yeah, and you know, I really have this thing for shaved, you know, German Shepherds. And that's a little bit weird, and there's a little bit of a weird moment, you know. And I say, but did you see the baseball game last night? And then we continue on, you know. And so it's possible in your, that's a weird analogy, but it's possible in your creative work to have one of those moments where you know, let's say you've got your 10,000 fans and they love you and you're waiting for your next album and you're a singer-songwriter and you put out a heavy metal record and everybody is a little bit taken aback and not quite ready for it and you know, but the point being, in a conversation, you just say something else. You just continue. Keep talking. You know, okay, you did that one record, it was weird, it was badly received. Do another one. You know, if it's good, people won't care. You know, if life will continue. The worst thing you can do is to stop talking. So, is to fall silent. So, you know, I'm here with David, I say something really weird, and then just sit here silently. You know, there's no opportunity for anything more to happen, you know? And so much of the time, we feel like by not exposing ourselves to the risk of failure that we're safe. But the fact is, safe from what? Or safe in what position? If you're an artist who's released stuff before, you're just fading in people's memories. You know, you released that good record, and then 5 years went by and you didn't do anything. What happened to that guy? Oh, he was working on his, like, look at Guns N' Roses, you know? They were working on their Chinese Democracy record for 20 years or whatever it was, and then it came out, and people were like, whoa, it came out, but like, the moment had been passed, you know? So, it was, you know, the fact is that just by continuing to release work, continuing the conversation with the public, you have your best opportunity to, you know, just to continue to control the course of your career, you know. So you say one thing, then you say another, you make a misstep, and then you correct, and that, I feel like, is a far more robust way to comport yourself in the public eye than this kind of you know, trying to control things so that they're perfect and waiting, you know, for the perfect moment, and then you make some statement and it's still not going to be as well received as you would hope. You know, we all hope for rose petals to fall from the sky when our record comes out and it to shoot to the top of the charts, and we all secretly hope and, you know, on some level believe that that's going to happen, you know, but just by, you know, continuing and being visible is, and it allows you to grow in the public eye, you know, so people see your, you know, and I'm saying record, you know, I make records, you know, but it could be a novel, it could be a film, it could be a dance performance. It really doesn't matter. You release your work, people see it, they have a reaction to it, and then there's another one, and they say, oh, look, he got weirder, or oh, it's better, or oh, it's worse, or whatever it is. But importantly, you know, you were talking about uniqueness and as a way to get attention. You know, nowadays we're living in an attention economy. It's all that we're trying to do is fight for eyeballs and ears and get people to pay attention to us for 10 minutes of the day or whatever it is, fighting along with TV and video games and everything else. And so having a story, you know, a narrative about your creative work is a very strong way to get attention. So you say, he made a folk record and then he made a heavy metal record. And that's something that people will talk about. That's an entry point for journalists. It's an entry point for people. This is away from creative process a little bit, but it's sort of relevant. You know, it's a way for people to talk about your work and to connect with it and to enter into it more than just, oh, here's a guy and he made a record. You know, okay, there's a million guys who just released a record today. Who cares, you know? So having that kind of narrative of, oh, you know what, and his first record was really bad, but now this new one is really good, or his first record was like this, and now the new one is like this, and the longer that you do that, and the more you do that publicly, in the public eye, creating that record, the more there is for people to talk about, and the more ways there are for people to interface with your work, you know, rather than just saying, okay, here's this, you know, you worked for 10 years in your room, you made 9 albums and never released them, and then here's the one perfect culmination of all that work. People have no context to place that in, and that context, you know, can be very valuable. How am I doing on time?